Hi, welcome to online tutorial series on Arduino and IoT. This is lesson 4 and in this lesson we will talk about how to read digital data from outside world inside to the microcontroller and how to interface a switch to the Arduino Uno programming board. Apart from it, we also provide online training and help in technical assignments. We also do freelance based project based on MATLAB, data science, Python, embedded system, etc. So if you have any such requirement, then you can contact us at www.jcbrolabs.org or you can mail us at jcbrolabs@gmail.com. Okay, so now let's move to the theory part of the video. So this is about the digital input programming. So in our earlier videos we have talked about how to send data from Arduino Uno to the outside world. That means if suppose LED is connected there, so we have learned how to write program to turn on this LED on and off. Now data can be transferred bidirectionally, right? So bidirectionally means data can be sent from microcontroller to outside world. That is known as the output programming, and it could be from outside world inside to the microcontroller or inside to Arduino. Okay. So today we will talk about this one, how to read digital data from outside world and take it into the Arduino. So why I'm talking about digital data? Digital data, that means we will be reading 1 or zeros from the outside world. So there is a way of generating this ones and zeros at a specific pin, and if 1 means, that means we are mentioning plus 5 volt and 0 means we are mentioning 0 volt. So this particular program also helps to interface a digital sensor to the Arduino board as well. Okay, so let's start. First thing is the pin direction. So in order to make any digital pin as an input pin means we are making it to read the data from outside world. Okay, so we have to make the spin mode as the input. So there is a command, I hope you are already familiar with this command, pin mode. So here pin number, and we have to write it as input. Okay, and then in order to read the data, so this is for pin direction. So by doing this we are making as a pin, as an input pin. Now another one is digital read. Digital read command is there, and then pin. Okay, so it reads the digital data available on Arduino pin. Okay, so if it is reading, it should return something. So it returns a value either 1 or 0. So that value is of integer type. Okay, so it is returned value. And variable. Okay, so whatever data is available on this pin, it reads that data and returns that particular value inside this val variable. Okay, so these are the two commands which we'll be using in this program. Now coming back to our next thing, that is the switch interfacing, because now we have to generate plus 5 or 0 volt, that means 1 or 0 at any specific pin which we want to read. Okay, so we will be doing this with the help of the switch. So let's first talk about switch interfacing. So we can, okay, let's see. Okay, so switch interfacing means prior to interfacing a switch we need to connect a switch. Okay, so there are two configuration which we can connect a switch to the any microcontroller to the Arduino. First configuration is like this. So, and we are taking the output from here. So this is the output. Let's say it is some resistance value R, and this is the switch. So this particular is known as the pull down switch configuration. Don't confuse it with the pull up resistance, right? So it is pull up resistance, but switch is in pull down configuration, because when we are pressing the switch, output is going to 0. So if we make a truth table of it, the output, if we have a switch here and the output here, okay, so when switch is not pressed, that means we are applying is 0. Switch is not pressed, so this particular point is connected to this point because there is no direct path here, and output will be VCC. That means we will get output as a 1. And when switch is pressed, there will be a direct path. When switch is pressed, this will become short circuit and current will flow directly through it, and this output pin will be connected to the ground. So the output in this case when switch is pressed will be 0. Okay. So this is a pull down switch configuration in which it is acting as a inverter, or you can say a NOT gate. Now another switch configuration could be like this. We have a VCC here, and then again some resistance value, and from here we are taking the output. So here we have the switch. Now if we again write this truth table for this switch and output, so if switch is not pressed, that means we are applying 0 here. This path is not connected and this particular point is connected to the ground, so we are getting output as 0. And when switch is pressed, that means we are applying 1 here. This path will become short circuit and this point will connect to the VCC. That means output will be 1. So these are two configurations of switches, and this configuration is also known as the pull up switch configuration. So there may be a little confusion about these switch configurations, but this is the notation which I follow. So pull up switch configuration means whenever we are connecting the switch, this output is pulled up to the VCC point. So that is why this configuration is known as the pull up switch configuration. So we will you can connect switch to any one of these form, right? So in this program we have connected switch in this form, that is a pull up configuration. So now let's write a program to it, or let's make a schematic diagram of the circuit which we have connected on hardware. Okay, so we have a switch here which is VCC, and we are taking the output from here, and there is a switch here SW, and this is R. Okay, so it is connected to the pin 7 of Arduino Uno, and then we have two LEDs. Red and blue LED. So this blue LED is connected to pin number 9, and this red LED is connected to pin number 8. So what we'll be doing in our program, and we also talked about the control statements as well. That means if else statement, we will learn how to use if else statement. So we want whenever this switch is pressed, right, so it is red LED and blue LED. So when switch is not pressed, right, when switch is not pressed, that means we are getting 0. This red LED should 1 and blue LED should 0. And when switch is pressed, okay, when switch is pressed, we are getting 1. This red LED should be turned to 0 and this blue LED should be turned on. So this is what we will be making, and you can, okay, so you can see the same in this with demo. So let's see about the circuit diagram for this. So this is a switch, and this is the point from where we have connected this switch to the pin number 7 of the Arduino. Okay, so this is a pull up switch. That means when we press it, it pulls the voltage to 5 volt, and if we release it, it is now connected to ground. And this is a different board through which we are providing this switch interfacing or switch to this Arduino Uno board. So our program will be, whenever we press the switch, blue LED will on, when switch is released, red LED is on. Okay, so this is how switch is connected on hardware. The same has been discussed on the theory part of it. Okay, so you have seen the demo. Now talking about the control statements, we will be using the control statements as well. So control statements means if we want to do different tasks at different conditions, right? So there are two statements are there, if and else. So if means we check a condition, right? So if this condition is true, we do some task, say let's say task 1, and if condition is false, and we say we do a task 2, or we don't do any task, and after that we check another condition, okay, or it could be like false, we don't do anything, or it could be we can check another condition, and again there could be two different things. Okay, let's do it again. I think yeah, so in control statement there are several statements are there. First is if, and in bracket we have a condition, and if condition is true, task within these curly braces are performed, and if condition is false, it don't do anything. So it is like this structure. Okay, so if condition is true here, if condition is true, we do task 1, let's say T1, and if condition is false, we don't do anything and comes out of the loop. Okay, so this is like this statement, single if. Another one, if this condition is false, even then we want to do something, then there is a thing here, if condition, and we do some statements within these curly braces, and if this condition is false, whatever is written in else statements, we perform all those statements, right? So it is like if, let's say we are checking a condition, so if condition is true, task 1 is performed, and if condition is false, a task 2 is performed. That means it will go into else. Okay, and then they both will come together and go. Now suppose we have more, here we can check only two conditions, like whether this condition is true or if this condition false, the control will go in the else statements. Suppose we have more than one condition which we want to check. So there is a control structure as well for it. We have if, and we have, let's say, condition 1. If this is true, uh, conditions written or statements written within these statements, this will be performed. If this condition is false, then we will check another condition, else if, and we will check say condition 2. And if this condition is true, whatever the statements are written within this curly braces, they will perform. And similarly, we can have as many as else if statements, and at last we can have else statement which represent, like, if no other condition prior to it is true, then this else statement will run. Okay, so again here, if this condition is true, this particular statements will perform and it will come out of the structure. If this condition is false, then it will go to the next condition, that means else if condition, and if this condition is true, it will perform certain actions and come out. And if all this condition fails, that it is no condition is true, then it will go into the else statement and perform the task written within this curly braces and come out of the loop. So this is how this control structures or if else statement works. So now we will be writing a program which will be involving this conditional statements, and we will be using them for our program. Okay, so let's move to the programming now. Okay, so our board is there. Now power is connected. We will try to write this particular kind of program. Okay, so let's move to programming. Let's create a new sketch and let's first save it. At desktop, let's save it with L04 switch. So we have red LEDs and blue LEDs, so we'll define int red, and it is connected to red LED is connected to pin number 8, and then we'll define int blue, and blue LED is connected to 9, and we'll define a variable switch to specify the pin number which is connected to switch, and this switch is connected to pin number 7, and then we will define a variable, let's say value, to read the value at pin 7. Okay, let's save it. Now let's make a setup. Okay, so pin mode red, because it is LED, and so it has to be as output, and then pin mode blue, and it should be as the output, and then pin mode switch. So we are reading the data from the switch, so this particular should be make as a input pin. Now we will be also sending the data to the serial port so that we can also visualize the status of the switch. So if you are not familiar with the serial port, so go through a lesson 3 video in which we have talked about how to send data over the serial port of Arduino. Okay, so let's make serial.begin with let's say 9600 baud rate and save it. Now remember our code which we wanted to make. We will be because switch is connected in this configuration, that means when switch is pressed we will getting 1, right? So when switch is pressed, blue should turn on, and when switch is not pressed, red should turn on. Okay, so yeah, now it may be visible to you. When switch is not pressed, red should turn on, when switch is pressed, blue should turn on. Okay, so first of all, let's send dummy data to the serial port, serial.println. So it will say like reading switch status. Okay, and then switch, we are reading the switches from val command. So value is equals to digital read and then pin asterisk. Okay, so whatever status this particular command will read the pin 7, and if it is connected to 1, that particular data will be sent to value. If it is connected to 0, that particular will be sent to val as well. Okay, go to the preferences. Preferences, and okay, now let's drag it. Now so when switch is pressed, we will be getting 1. So if val equals to 1, that indicates switch is pressed, right? So we will type a command serial.println switch is pressed, and we will make LED on, so digital write. Okay, so in digital write blue should turn on, right? So blue comma high, and at the same time red should turn off, red comma low, and then we will provide some delay, otherwise it will be very fast to, and we will not be able to read it. So delay of, let's say, 1 second. Save it, and else, because there is a single switch, so there could be 2 cases, either switch is pressed or not pressed. So that's why we are having only if and else. You can make a program in which you can interface 2 switches, then based on the 2 configuration of switch, that means there are 2 switches, so it could be 0 0 0 1 1 0 and 1 1. They could be total to the power 2 cases, that means total 4 cases could be there, and then you can use more if and else statements. Okay, so now else, there is no condition in else, and then in else first we will writing, that means it indicates switch is not pressed. Okay, so serial serial dot println, so we will write switch is open. Okay, so you can write anything, switch is not pressed, switch is open, and then we'll write digital write, blue should be low, and digital write red should be high. Okay, and then there will be a delay of 1000. Okay, so that's our program, and let's check whether it is working fine or not. Let's upload it on the Arduino. Okay, from uploading, if you are making it once, you can check whether it is connected to the port correctly or not. So it is compiling the sketch, uploading, and then uploading done. Okay, let's see the serial monitor. Okay, let's change it to 9600. Okay, switch is open, and now let's press the switch. Now switch is pressed, and you can see blue LED is on now. Okay, let's see. Okay, so switch is pressed, blue LED is on, switch is released, red LED is on. Now switch is open, yeah, switch is pressed, switch is open. So this is how simply you can interface a switch to the Arduino Uno board, and more or less you can, this is how you can read any digital data available on any pin of this Arduino inside to the Arduino. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any suggestion or any comment, then you can let us know by commenting below this video. Again, we also provide online training on Arduino and embedded system and wide range of topics. and we also do freelance based project on embedded system, MATLAB, and data science, etc. So if you have any such requirement, then or you want to contact us, then you can visit our website, which is www.jcbrolabs.org, and you can also mail us at jcbrolabs@gmail.com. So that's it for this video. Thank you.